Hello, everyone. My name is Sue Wilhite, and I am known as the Profit Attraction Master. And what I do is I help struggling entrepreneurs get out of their own way, get rid of the stuff that is tripping them up, sometimes invisible to them. And I help them build a thriving, profitable business so that they can change the world or do whatever else it is that they want to do. I definitely subscribe to the idea that all businesses are in some way conical. In other words, when I help one of my clients, they in turn help other clients, and they in turn help others. So I see it as this giant wave that goes out, and the more people that we can all help, the better. So today's topic is called Get Off Ya Butt, and it should have had two T's. I think their spell checker got in the way. Get off ya butt really means get off the excuses that are getting in your way. And sometimes those excuses are things that you feel are absolutely justified, and they're really getting in your way. And they're preventing you from going into action. So it's really about getting off your butt and getting off, but I can't, that. So I've got a selection of 8 different things that get in the way, and I'm going to list them all. And then I'm going to go over a couple of them and then mention one more that should be on the list, but I sort of assume that it's okay and not necessarily what's getting in the way of you having your most fantastic life and or business. So the 8 things that are getting in the way, and I call them the big hairy monsters. And they're the big hairy monsters that you, as the hero in your story, need to come up against. And the way that I put it is that it's you come up with and then play with. It's a play. It's a dynamic. And I don't talk about it in terms of conflict, but there is a certain amount of competition within it. So it's a play. So the 8 things are, and I'm going to let you just sort of sit there and go, okay, I know which one she's going to say. And so I'm going to check them off. Feel free, go for it. Time, money, relationships, job, the job, specialized knowledge. So knowing about business or knowing what you need to know in order to do something, family dynamics and or history, mindset, and accountability. These are the things that get in the way, and I'm going to say them one more time. Time, money, job, relationships, business knowledge or specialized knowledge, family dynamics and or history, mindset, and accountability. So time and money, everybody knows how they get in the way, right? We have 24 hours, and yet somehow we all end up not having quite enough time to do what we want to do. And I know there are sessions in the Momentum 2021 conference that are talking about that. So I'm going to put that one aside. Money. Money is an issue sometimes. And, I can't afford that. I can't do that. It's costing too much. Money is an issue. And there are other people in the conference who are going to deal with that. So I'm going to put that one aside. Job, the job. Now, for some of you, you don't necessarily have a job. some by choice, some not. And job sometimes gets in the way because of the commitments that you have to the job. However, we're not going to talk about that one just yet. Business knowledge or specialized knowledge gets in the way because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. You're struggling with something, you're not making it because there might be a better way to do something and you're doing it in a way that's not efficient, or you don't know that there's a tool that might help you. Knowledge is everything. Knowing what is to do is probably the number one thing that you want to deal with. Ask people. And that goes kind of back to the money thing. A lot of people, myself included, are perfectly willing to give you a certain amount of advice for free to get you started and get the momentum going. There's lots of online classes that are free. And so I really suggest that you research what you can get and to know about so that you can get your knowledge up to speed. Now, here's what I'm going to talk about. Family dynamics, mindset, and accountability. Family dynamics and or history, weirdly enough, and I don't see very many people talking about this, these things can really get in the way. Culturally, there may be something for instance, if you're a woman and you are trying to do something that culturally women don't do. Yes, this is the 21st century, and there are still activities, businesses that women don't do. And culturally, there may be some things that you have to fight against. And it's really important to know what those are and to deal with them. And there's all kinds of techniques. There's things like counseling, coaching absolutely helps. There are a bunch of techniques. There's family constellation techniques. There's emotional freedom technique or tapping, which helps. I myself use a type of sound healing that clears away old family history, old family dynamics from your system so that you can move forward in your business, in your life, and you can get things done. And a lot of times, these family dynamics may be completely invisible and or inaudible to you. You may have no clue that this is what's going on for you. It may be something 3 or 4 generations back. And so if you run into it, it's like running into an invisible wall and you don't understand why you can't move forward and why things aren't working. The next thing that I want to talk about is mindset. And yes, I know that there are other coaches and other speakers today and elsewhere who talk about mindset. I want to say that mindset is a myth. I know this might be a radical concept for many of you, but mindset is a myth. Mindset is created by beliefs, knowledge, and family dynamics and history. It is not necessarily something that you can overcome. So it's one of those things where you really want to, again, pay attention to that invisible wall that you've got going and find out what it is in your mindset that is preventing you from going forward. You may have a mindset of success and yet also have a mindset that's associated with struggle, with failure, I do another talk that is about being addicted to failure. So you can have these two completely contradictory mindsets going, going at the same time. And they will prevent you from moving forward. It's like having your foot on the gas pedal of a car and also on the brake. And you can, if it's on a bicycle, you can be pedaling as hard as you can. And if you're clutching the brake, you're not going to go very far forward. It's going to make a horrible screeching sound. So mindset is a myth. You cannot just set yourself to move forward without a good deal of self-examination and getting all of those things that are the brakes, the things that are holding you back, and noticing them. The real key to mindset is actually mindfulness. And again, it's one of those things where I know there's a bunch of folks talking about mindfulness today. Mindfulness is the number one key to mindset. You must be aware of what you're doing and what's going on in your life and what the results are and what you notice that's going on in order to shift your mindset or to be able to have any kind of successful mindset. And finally, what I'm going to talk about is accountability. The number one reason that people succeed is that they have somebody to be accountable to. And it might be to themselves. There are many people who can be accountable to themselves. They set a goal. It's their responsibility, which, by the way, is one of my favorite words, responsibility. They may be feeling responsible for their own goals, and they can do that, but that's a very, very small minority of people. It really helps to have somebody that you can say, hey, Robert, I'm going to be doing this. This is my plan. This is what I'm going for. You want to spot me on this? You might pay somebody to do that. That might be a coach that you pay for, but it might be just somebody that you call up and go, hey, I'm gonna make this attempt. I'm gonna go forward. I'm going to do my first video Facebook Live, or I'm going to do a 5-day challenge for the first time, or I'm going to attempt underwater basket weaving for the first time. It really doesn't matter. As long as you have somebody that is on your side, that's the important part about accountability, is don't pick somebody that you're going to say, hey, I'm going to be taking a course in dog training because that's something that I've always wanted to do. And they go, oh, great. Okay, that's another hobby. Fine, let me know how that works. That's not accountability. That's a downer. Don't do that. Walk away from that person and go find somebody that says, hey, that sounds like a great idea. You're wonderful with animals. When are you going to start? What are you doing? Let me know. Keep in touch. That's accountability. And that by far is the number one thing that gets people off of, yeah, but, and gets them going, because somebody to be accountable to allows you to speak it out loud or maybe write it and communicate with another person. And the act of doing that really solves a lot of problems. I can't tell you how many times I've had the goal to do something and I've run into a seemingly insurmountable problem. And I've gone into my accountability buddies sphere and said, look, I've been trying to do this and this is going on and this is, oh, never mind. I know what I need to do. And you go off and you do it, right? So there are the things that are getting in the way. And I went into detail on the 3 things that I think are the most important about getting off of your butt and getting on your way to success. Once you clear these up, you will be incredibly successful. All right, I am going to start looking at the chat right now and addressing questions. Oh, good. I'm in good shape for doing this. So I'm sorry, again, my laptop is down and to my left, so I'm going to kind of leave the camera for a minute so that I can see this. All right, we've got. All right, we all need a part of it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Emmylou. I really appreciate that. All right. Any questions? I don't see any questions in the chat yet. Wait, here we go. Yep. All right. Oh, sorry, Sarah. Yes, the recording is going to be fun. Feel free to ask questions, and let me put, I believe I can enter. Yes, I'm going to put in the chat. All right. In the chat, I just put the link that you can click on and schedule a 45-minute enlightenment session with me. Again, as I said at the very beginning, there is no pressure, there is no sales. I just enjoy meeting people. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy brainstorming with people. I really, really just like to meet people. I'm very gregarious. I'm in whatever formula you use for personality measurement, I'm right on the edge of introvert extrovert. So I'm not hugely extroverted, and I do need to go away and curl up in a ball somewhere to regain my energy. But I also get energy from just chatting with people and talking to people. And that's what I love. So feel free to sign up for the enlightenment session, and we can get together and brainstorm and chat and just have a great time. Okay, I'm going to look back at the chat. Oh, you're welcome, Sarah. Suggestions for family matters and suggestions for creating and growing a new accountability group or partners. Okay, thank you, Deborah. That's a great question. So if you want to do accountability partners for free, what I suggest is reaching out to whatever business group, if this is for business, reach out to whatever business networking group you might belong to, whether it's a chamber of commerce or there are just so many online networking groups, I can't even list them. Some of my favorite are Rook's World Domination Fair on Tuesdays, Robbie Samuel's No More Bad Zoom on Fridays. There's the Happy Neighborhood Project. They have meetings all the time, all week for different regions, and anybody can join whatever region. If you are in business, joining one of these groups and setting up relationships with people and just saying, hey, you know, would you be okay with a once a week or once a month, 5-minute, you know, this is what I'm doing. You can do that. Absolutely. They're just sign up for the enlightenment session and I can give you an entire list of what places to go. If it's personal, choose your friends wisely. If it's a goal that is personal for you that you want to do that is not necessarily business related, you can go to your friends, but make sure that you are conscious that you are choosing somebody who is willing to be a cheerleader and a supporter, but not a yes person and not a nay person. Okay? You don't want to have somebody who is always going to say, oh yeah, just go for it, just because that's not what you need. You don't want somebody who's going to be always discouraging you as well. You want somebody that you can brainstorm with. If you don't have that, look on Nextdoor, ask around. Again, chambers of commerce might be helpful. And your best bet really is to hire a coach in the area that you want. And trust me, there are coaches for everything. This is a very big field. So just about anything that you want to do, whether it's knitting, underwater basket weaving, sports, any other kind of craft, anything. There are people who are willing to be accountability buddies. And I am very sure if you look on Meetup or some of the other networking online groups, you will find somebody that you can do. So hopefully, Deborah, that answered your question. And yeah, I'll try to put that in the chat, Deb. For family matters, for Jennifer's question on family matters. So family dynamics are really tricky to deal with. And one of the things, again, to deal with them is about being mindful and noticing what you're up against. Many times the family dynamics will be pretty obvious. And there'll be things like, oh, you can't do that because you're female, or because you're in a particular family group, or you're from a particular region, or whatever, skin color, eye color, whatever it is. Generally, those things end up being very much in your face. And part of what can help with that is counseling. Again, I have a technique that I use called biofield tuning that clears out the invisible stuff, and even some of the visible stuff. It eliminates it from your system so that you can move forward. But therapy and counseling can also help. They just take longer and are slightly more expensive. So hopefully that helps. And there was another question. Oh, yep, somebody else answered it. Thank you, guys. All right. Any other questions? All right. I will put some of those networking groups in the chat that you can look up. I don't have links for all of them right to hand. I'm sorry. But I'll put the names of some of them and you can look them up. You can Google them. It's pretty easy. So give me a second. I'm going to write them in the chat. Sherilyn. Okay, give me 1 second, Sherilyn. I'll answer that question. So World Domination Fair from Rook, if you just look up Rook. And Robbie Samuels. Hashtag no more bad Zoom. You can actually look that up. I believe that's the name of his website. Chambers of Commerce. Network After Work is another group. Solopreneur.com is another group. These are just the ones off the top of my head. So there's that. All right. Sherilyn, let me try to answer your question in the time that I have. Making it very meta there. So time gets in the way because it's a yeah, but because we feel like time is a limited resource. We feel that time has We've got 24 hours in a day. 7 to 8 hours are automatically, so a third of that should be taken up by sleep, because otherwise you're not going to get anything done. Trust me, sleep is absolutely vital. I am a huge proponent of sleep, and I do my darndest to get at least 7 hours a day. And I will work in naps if I don't. So I walk my talk or lie my sleep, as the case may be. When you look at time as being an infinite resource, and that you actually have more time than you think, and you stay mindful, that's the other big key, is mindfulness in terms of time, then you can accomplish an enormous amount, and you cease to have the excuse, oh, but I don't have time for that. There are several people who have published, and you can look them up online, some really wonderful ways of arranging one's calendar. For instance, in my calendar, in my personal calendar, I don't do any business stuff before noon. That's just the way it is. 7 days a week, whatever till noon is reserved for what I want it to be. And I get to choose what I'm doing in that amount of time. Noon to 5, reserved for business. And generally speaking, that's 5 days a week. Sometimes on weekends with advance notice, but I still won't do it anytime after 5, or between noon and 5. And on weekends, I reserve for my family life. After that, it's what fits in there. And there are times when I will look ahead at my schedule. For instance, for my podcast, I need time next week to start doing some editing. So I'm just going to block out whole 5-hour chunks so that I could just work through my editing. It's being conscious and mindful of what you need to do, when you need to do it, and how long it's going to take, and being reasonable about how long it's going to take. I strongly suggest shortening the amount of time that you think you have for something and letting that be your boundary. And you'd be amazed at how much you'll get done. I hope that answers your question. I believe that I am just about out of time. Thank you so very much for joining me here. The subject has been get off your butt. And hopefully you've learned something.